Let's get it. Welcome in to another edition of the Ravens Rundown. Tyler Jones here with you. Appreciate you joining us. On today's show, we are going to discuss possible trade destinations for Lamar Jackson. We received the report yesterday. The Ravens are planning to franchise tag him. Not a given that he'll be traded, but if he were to be traded, what are the top possible landing spots for the Ravens star quarterback? We'll tell you in just a few moments from right now. Before we get to that, though, very curious. Little test here on today's show. I want to see how many of you can name the entire roster from the Ravens' first Super Bowl victory. See how many guys in the comment section you can name from that team that was so spectacular, one of the greatest teams in NFL history, in particular on the defensive side of the ball. Tell me some of those names, as many as you can in the comment section. Let's see who can name the most, and we'll get started with today's show. Trading Lamar Jackson, the possibility is as high as it's ever been before. Now, we've heard John Harbaugh and Eric DeCosta and company say all the right things when it comes to keeping Lamar Jackson, that they believe that he is their quarterback, a 200% chance that he's coming back next year, but with a deal not in place still, and the franchise tag being put on Lamar Jackson, according to reports, that means that the possibility of them moving on from him is as more likely as it's ever been before. So let's break down four things, what you need to know before going into the potential trade partners for the Baltimore Ravens. First off, it's highly unlikely Lamar Jackson plays on the franchise tag. I think that you are going to see an ultimatum, whether I think Lamar simply is going to get to a point where he says, get me a new deal or trade me. One of the two options. I think it will get to that point that he says, you got to do one of these two things, because he's obviously been frustrated about where these contract negotiations have gone. And, I mean, you can't just have this drag on forever and expect everybody to be happy. If he is traded, I would lean towards Baltimore, preferring an NFC team potentially to trade him to. They'd like to get him out of the conference so they don't have to face him in the postseason and go through that whole business. The last thing you'd want to see is Lamar Jackson going on a revenge tour and playing him every year or twice a year within the division or something like that. The Ravens will do what they can to get him out of the AFC. Now, if he is going to play on the franchise tag, we're looking at about $45 million, according to current estimates, of what he would be owed for that franchise tag this upcoming season. And remember, he could be franchise tagged again after this season as well, in theory. So something to think about, that the money there, you're going to have to pay him a lot, whether he's franchise tagged or you extend him either way. So with that said, before we get to the trade destinations, your chance to chime in here on the Ravens Rundown. Will Lamar Jackson play for the Ravens next year? Is it going to happen? If you think it will, type Y for yes. If not, type in for no. Let me know in the comment section below. You might get an ad break. If so, take advantage of it. Get your votes in. Y for yes, in for no, if Lamar Jackson will play for the Ravens next year. So let's go over the trade destinations now. Number 5 on our list is the New Orleans Saints. And the New Orleans Saints, they missed out on a situation potentially where they were going to, try to be in a draft capital situation last year, where they thought that trading their picks was going to get them in a spot to help them out this upcoming year with capitalizing on last year and whatnot. And here they are. They ended up in this situation where they did actually end up getting a first-round pick back with the Sean Payton trade that just went down. So their draft situation, their draft capital has been kind of all over the place, but it looks like at the moment, now you get a 2023 first-round pick. So this kind of changes things, your position of power to make a move like this. In addition to a 2024 first-round pick, you got guys like Kamara, Michael Thomas, Cam Jordan, that all could be tradable pieces of some sorts potentially for the New Orleans Saints. But when you look at those tradable pieces, the Saints are in a position where I think if you bring in Lamar Jackson to New Orleans, that you are trying to maximize on the talent that you have. How much do you want to give up and avoid taking a step back of some sorts? If you bring in Lamar to New Orleans, you got to go all in. So can you really give up your Kamaras, your Michael Thomases, your Cam Jordans of the world like that? That's a interesting predicament the New Orleans Saints could potentially find themselves in. Ravens Rundown is sponsored by Athletic Greens. I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive and convenient daily nutrition, athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted better gut health and wanted a supplement that actually tastes great. I take AG1 every morning and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. I came into this year wanting to get healthier, and starting my year on AG1 has helped me do just that. I take it every morning, and I feel the best I've ever felt, covering my nutritional bases for the day. Literally, couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. Just mix 1 scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing each morning. Done. It also costs less than $3 a day. Pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients. Win-win. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. The link is also in the comments and the description of today's video. Athletic Greens promotes gut health, supports immunity, boosts energy. It's the way to go. Check it out, athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Number 4 on my list is the New York Jets, and the New York Jets are probably going to pursue Lamar harder than most, but they find themselves in a situation of bad fortune of being in the AFC, and this is a team that feels like they are a quarterback away. Remember, Zach Wilson was supposed to be their quarterback of the future. He has just stunk. Elijah Moore and Denzel Mims have been kind of tradable assets of sorts that they've potentially looked to move on from. They do have a first-round pick this year and next year that they could potentially look at, but being there within the AFC, I mean, is that something you want to do if you're the Ravens, of trading him within the conference? That's a tough predicament for the Ravens. It's one of those deals where the Jets, I would expect to be aggressive. They're going to try to go bring in a quarterback for sure this offseason, and whether that be Lamar or some of these other guys that are out there, I mean, even a Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers has been brought up. They are going to be on the phones, you could imagine, a lot with teams, and Lamar, I would guess, would be at the highest of their list. What team is most likely to trade for Lamar Jackson if he is not a member of the Baltimore Ravens? In your opinion, besides my list, what's your list say of potential options of where Lamar Jackson could land this offseason? Let us know in the comments section below. Number 3 on the list is the Las Vegas Raiders. And the Las Vegas Raiders were mentioned as a landing spot for Tom Brady, but obviously he retired today, so that's not happening. And the Raiders try to make a splash of some sorts, and Josh Jacobs, of course, is about to enter free agency. Their leading rusher, one of the best running backs in the NFL. We know they're going to move on from Derek Carr. Darren Waller, there's questions about his future. Hunter Renfrow, same thing about how much longer he'll be there. The only thing for certain is that you have Devontae Adams there in Las Vegas, and they have some major question marks when it comes to their defense as well. And you have a first-round pick this upcoming year, a first-round pick in 2024 as well, which could also be a part of a trade package potentially. And although I'm not a very big fan of Derek Carr personally, this is one of those deals where the Ravens, in theory, could get Derek Carr as a placeholder quarterback until they find their next guy. They could buy some time and take Derek Carr in a potential trade as well. Number 2 on our list is the Carolina Panthers, heading back to the NFC. Carolina, a team that this past year we saw with Steve Wilkes, they were much better in the second half of the season, comparably speaking to before they fired Matt Rule, and they had a lot of quarterback question marks with that Carolina Panthers team this past year. They went through a number of guys from Baker Mayfield to Sam Darnold to P.J. Walker and company. We'll get to more on the Panthers here in just a second, but first, what is the Ravens' biggest need this offseason? What would you describe it being? Whether it's paying Lamar Jackson or whether it's finding a wide receiver, what is it that the Ravens need to do in this 2023 offseason? Let us know in the comments section. We're going to be covering the offseason here on the channel each and every day with daily news and rumors. We're going to start a live show next week here on the Ravens Rundown, so that'll be pretty exciting. More on that we'll tell you here in the next coming days in the channel. We also are going to be counting down to free agency, trades, the draft, all that stuff and more. Turn on notifications so you never miss a moment. Be with us each and every day here on the Ravens Rundown. Now, the Panthers have some very interesting assets. Not only a first-round pick this year and next year, but guys like DJ Moore, Terrence Marshall Jr., Brian Burns. There's some talented players on this Panthers team that could be looked upon and have been talked about as far as guys that potentially the Panthers could trade. We already know that they moved on from Christian McCaffrey last season. So if you were to move on from Lamar, obviously you're not going to want any of these quarterbacks that the Panthers have. But if you could get a playmaker like a DJ Moore or Brian Burns or something like that in a package, that might be appealing. Number one on our trades destinations potential for Lamar Jackson is the Atlanta Falcons. The Atlanta Falcons, this is a team that, I got to tell you, they impressed me to an extent this past year. They came in with the worst roster in the NFL, and, I mean, they were better than I think people expected them to be. They weren't necessarily good, but they were better than expected to be. Arthur Smith did a good job this year with what the hand he was dealt to work with. You have a first-round pick this year, as well as in 2024. You got a young quarterback in Desmond Ridder who at times showed some promise, but jury's still out on him, obviously. Kyle Pitts, we know, has the potential to be a star tight end in the National Football League. Drake London was a really good rookie wide receiver this past year. I'm looking for these guys here, this Atlanta Falcons team. You could get some pieces potentially. In addition to those first-round picks, you could get some young players as well potentially to build up, specifically on the offense for Baltimore if you were to make a move. But, of course, we say all that to say I don't think Lamar is getting traded, but I think these are the most likely candidates to potentially give him a look. As always, you can interact with me on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Tyler Jones Live, talking about your Baltimore Ravens there. And I'll see you next time right here on the Ravens Rundown.